In 2003, something unprecedented happened in New York City. 3 fire crews were forced to evacuate their station. Not because of a gas leak. Not because of an earthquake. Not even because of a fire. They evacuated because of rats. Hundreds of rats, some as large as small cats, had taken over the building. They lived in the walls, in the ceilings, in the air vents. The firefighters fought back for nearly a year. They brought in professional exterminators. They set traps everywhere. In a single night, more than a dozen rats would get caught. But it didn't matter. Remove a dozen rats and a dozen more would appear. The building remained infested until the humans finally gave up and left. The source of the infestation was never determined. Perhaps the rats came from the subway stations beneath the building. Perhaps from a construction site 6 blocks away. The source doesn't really matter. What matters is what this story reveals about the bigger picture. In New York City, rats are everywhere. And they're winning. New York's rat problem is famous worldwide. Some people even call rats a cultural symbol of the city. In 2014, Animal Planet named New York the worst rat city in the entire world. This wasn't an exaggeration. Scientific studies consistently show that New York offers rats everything they need to thrive. The factors are numerous. Population density provides endless food sources. The climate is favorable. Housing standards create perfect nesting sites. The sanitation system, despite being relatively advanced, still provides countless access points. Put simply, New York is rat paradise. Consider what a rat needs to survive. Just 1 ounce of food and water per day. That's it. In New York, rats find this everywhere. In human homes, in trash cans, in sewers, at construction sites. Food and shelter exist in abundance. Yes, they have to deal with humans. But that's the humans' problem, not theirs. Rats live in the walls between apartments. They chew through car wiring, sometimes causing fires. At night, New Yorkers routinely step off sidewalks to let rats pass. Not out of courtesy, out of caution. New York rats are large. They're aggressive. They act like they own the city. When you see them darting through subway stations or strolling through Central Park, it's hard to argue they don't. Their intelligence makes them formidable opponents. Rats learn quickly. They adapt fast. They figure out how to avoid traps, how to identify poison bait, how to outsmart any strategy humans devise to catch them. Every year, the problem intensifies. For decades, nobody knew exactly how many rats lived in New York. People relied on an urban legend claiming there were 5 times as many rats as people. How could anyone count them? In 2014, statistician Jonathan Auerbach tried. Using rat sighting reports from 2010 and 2011, he estimated approximately 2 million rats lived in the city. The number seemed plausible at the time. Then came the 2023 study. 3 million rats. Nearly a third of the city's human population. In just 10 years, rat numbers had grown by 50%. The numbers alone don't tell the full story. The real concern is disease. New York rats carry pathogens that cause diarrhea, vomiting, and fever in humans. Children, with their developing immune systems, face particular risk. Rats carry fleas, lice, and ticks that spread bacteria. The diseases include typhus, spotted fever, and yes, bubonic plague. We've come a long way since the Middle Ages. We have antibiotics now, but catching the plague would still be extremely unpleasant. Beyond the plague, rats spread leptospirosis. In 2023, New York saw a record 24 cases. Rats contaminate food supplies. They destroy infrastructure. They make the city objectively worse to live in. The financial impact is staggering. Reports estimate $27 billion in annual damage. And this isn't just a New York problem. Rats plague many major cities. In national rankings by rat population, New York places 3rd, behind Los Angeles and Chicago. Looking globally, the situation is similar everywhere from Seattle to Buenos Aires. Experts report rat populations have increased 15 to 20% over the past decade. Consider one example from Arkansas. In 2019, rats caused a power outage on Interstate 30. According to the Texarkana Gazette, rats chewed through wiring at an intersection. They damaged all sections of wiring along the median strip. Street lights shut off. Others flickered constantly. The city hired contractors to fix the problem, but experts offered no guarantee it wouldn't happen again. Rats don't scare easily. Back in 1944, an exterminator told New Yorker reporter Joseph Mitchell something revealing. If you get a few rats in your house, there are just two things you can do. You can wait for them to die, or you can burn your house down and start all over again. Decades later, we still haven't learned how to eliminate rats. Even New York authorities acknowledge they cannot simply wipe out 3 million rats. The best they can hope for is keeping numbers in check. They've tried targeted extermination. They pumped carbon monoxide into rat holes. Result? Nothing. Local groups tracked rats with dogs. Result? Nothing. Most New Yorkers want the rats gone. Few believe it will happen. What if we borrowed solutions from other places? What if we brought in natural predators? Cats, for instance. Consider Borneo. From 1952 to 1955, authorities sprayed insecticide to fight malaria-carrying mosquitoes. The campaign worked. The mosquitoes died. But the insecticide was too toxic. Many cats died as well. Without cats, rats multiplied explosively. They overran cities, devastated food supplies, and destroyed rice fields. The situation raised serious concerns about plague and typhus outbreaks. In March 1960, the Royal Air Force flew over the island and dropped cargo. That cargo consisted of baskets containing live cats, placed in boxes, attached to parachutes. About 20 cats landed safely and immediately began their mission. It worked. Soon after, locals sent a message, "Thanks for the cats. No more problems with rats and mice." So cats can handle rat epidemics. But the Borneo case isn't the only possible outcome. Consider Astala Island, the largest island of Pakistan, located in the Arabian Sea. In the 1970s, a fisherman released several cats on the island to control rats that were damaging fishing nets and attacking bird nests. The cats did control some rats, but they quickly realized the island offered easier prey. Astala Island boasts rich biodiversity. Seabirds nest there in large numbers. Green turtles and hawksbill turtles use the beaches as nesting grounds. The Astala saw-scaled viper, a Russell's viper subspecies, is endemic to the island. Yellow-billed terns breed there. The cats became the island's top predators. Instead of focusing on rats, they devastated bird populations. Some species survived. Others abandoned their colonies entirely. To understand how badly this can go, look at Australia. Cats there aren't viewed as pets. They're recognized as apex predators. Australia has been at war with feral cats for years because these cats threaten the continent's biodiversity. Cats are considered a primary reason Australia holds the unwanted title of World Capital of Mammal Extinction. The story is familiar. Cats never lived in Australia until European settlers brought them in the 18th century. The cats adapted, spread across the continent, and formed wild populations completely independent of humans. Now cats inhabit every environment from mountain peaks to remote deserts, from beaches to farmland. Estimates place feral cat numbers between 2.1 and 6.3 million. Each day, they kill an average of 5 million native animals. Studies from the 2010s calculated each feral cat kills 740 wild animals annually. They hunt mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and insects. The largest animal a wild cat killed in Tasmania was an 11-pound pademelon, a small kangaroo species. Witnesses have observed cats carrying off tiger snakes. This predation has driven 27 Australian species to extinction. But biodiversity damage isn't the only concern. Cats carry parasites that cause toxoplasmosis, dangerous for sheep and pregnant women. This costs agriculture and healthcare over $6 billion Australian dollars annually. According to CSIRO, cats are the most economically damaging invasive pest and the fourth biggest environmental threat overall. Feral cats are extraordinarily difficult to control, worsening the problem. They adapt to everything, even harsh desert conditions, where they dig burrows and prey on small desert marsupials. Feral cats actively prevent efforts to reintroduce endangered species. They kill released animals faster than those animals can establish populations and reproduce. So we need to reconsider. Cats aren't fluffy companions ready to save America from rats. They're fierce, gluttonous predators that could trigger ecological disaster. Recent studies show New York rats have little reason to fear cats. Researchers studied a Brooklyn recycling plant where both rats and cats lived. Over nearly 3 months, they recorded 306 videos of cat-rat interactions. Cats attacked rats in exactly 2 instances. 2 rats died. Despite rats regularly venturing into open spaces, cats showed minimal interest. When cats did pursue rats, the chases resembled play more than hunting. Rats would stop. Cats would stop too. This seems contradictory. Aren't cats supposed to eat rats? Were we fooled all along? Cat hunting behavior toward rats has been studied extensively. Researchers in New Zealand examined droppings from 229 cats. Almost all had eaten rats. Cats seem to prefer rats over birds, despite abundant bird populations. But here's the crucial detail. New Zealand rats average 5 ounces. New York rats weigh more than twice that. Weight matters significantly to cats. They won't bother with large, fierce prey. Rats are also intelligent and sneaky. They hide from cats expertly when they sense danger. The result is discouraging. Despite their reputation as rodent killers, cats are useless for controlling urban rat populations. Rats aren't mice. New York brown rats typically weigh 11.6 ounces, roughly 10 times a mouse's weight. Given a choice between a giant rat, a half-ounce bird, or a 1-ounce mouse, cats consistently choose lighter targets. Can you blame them? The dominant rat in New York is the brown rat. In 1944, black rats shared the territory. Over subsequent decades, the larger, more aggressive brown rat pushed out competitors. They didn't just take resources. They attacked and killed black rats. By 2014, brown rats dominated New York completely. Perhaps the city simply lacks enough cats? Stray cat colonies exist in virtually every neighborhood with suitable hiding spots. Up to 500,000 stray cats might roam New York, though no exact count exists. What is known is why stray cat numbers surged recently. One surprising reason: the pandemic. During COVID, people adopted pets more frequently. Soon, pet care became more difficult and expensive. Many New Yorkers can no longer afford pets. Some owners, worried their cats would be euthanized in shelters, simply released them on streets. Supposedly, this gave cats better survival chances. The problem scale isn't obvious citywide. Living in a Manhattan high-rise, you probably never see stray cats. In other neighborhoods, particularly low-income areas with alleys, basement apartments, empty lots, abandoned cars, and derelict buildings, cats are everywhere. These locations provide perfect shelter for raising kittens. Imagine people decided New York needs more cats. Without conducting research, following the pattern of classic ecological disasters, they release hundreds more cats onto streets. What happens? First, safety problems emerge. Cats run onto roads more frequently, creating accident risks. Disease concerns multiply. Stray cats spread rabies, toxoplasmosis, and other zoonotic infections, including COVID-19. What about the rats? Initially, rat numbers might appear to drop, but this won't result from cat hunting skills. Rats will simply hide temporarily. Cats don't actually hunt rats much. Science has proven cats generally ignore them. Why would rats change their behavior? Meanwhile, competition between cats for food intensifies, causing animal suffering and death. To survive, cats will leave the city, seeking food in suburbs or wild areas. Researchers confirm cats prefer smaller, defenseless prey like birds and other small native animals. This threatens urban ecosystems. Many species cats add to their diet could become vulnerable, as happened in Australia. Too many cats could cause extinctions. What about predators controlling cat populations? Australia has predators. Dingoes hunt cats. Foxes hunt cats. This doesn't effectively control cat populations. The same would likely occur in the US. Eventually, cat impacts fade. They spread out. Many leave the city. Rats return to the open, living their best lives. People might not notice any difference from before, but declining bird populations will affect the area. This could increase insect and tick populations that birds previously controlled. Everyone loses from this cat invasion, from the cats themselves to taxpayers. Cats could work in one specific situation. If you completely eliminate rats first, then introduce cats, the predators would do exactly what they were released for. With only 1 or 2 rats present, and those smaller than today's New York rats, cats could manage effectively. There's another approach. Washington, D.C. runs a program called Blue-Collar Cats. The program traps feral cats, neuters them, vaccinates them, then releases them back onto Capitol streets. These cats were always feral, never pets. Their job: eliminate rats. After capture and medical procedures, cats spend about 3 weeks in closed cages where they're fed, encouraging them to remain after release. Homeowners or business owners participating in the program agree to provide cats with food and shelter. In return, cats are expected to hunt rodents. This doesn't contradict what I said earlier. According to the program's website, once on the job, you may find remains of rodents lying around. But rats are smart, and word spreads quickly that your business is no longer a safe place for pests. Before long, the mere presence of your blue-collar cat will be enough to keep most rodents away. Cats don't need to constantly hunt rats. Their presence alone suffices, and it works. However, you cannot solve a whole city's problem this way. Drive rats from one location, they relocate. We're discussing small numbers of sterilized cats, not hundreds of furry commandos unleashed on streets. Okay, cats don't work at scale. What about other animals? Mongooses, perhaps? The small Indian mongoose first arrived in Fiji in 1883, specifically to fight rats. Today, mongooses inhabit 13 of Fiji's roughly 332 islands. Mongoose history in Fiji connects closely to sugar production. Fiji was a British colony, and the empire used it like other colonies to produce sugar, the white gold of that era. Between 1766 and 1791, British West Indies produced over 1 million tons of sugar. During the 1800s, sugarcane plantations appeared on many Pacific islands, including Hawaii and Fiji. Sugar cane attracted rats, causing crop and financial losses. Where did these rats originate? Europeans accidentally brought them during ocean exploration. The rats caused severe damage, competing for resources and hunting native species, causing extinctions. A textbook invasive species scenario. Rats also damaged other tropical plants, affecting not just sugarcane but coconuts as well. Eventually, people decided action was necessary. That action was introducing mongooses. Bringing mongooses to fight rats occurred in various locations during the 19th and 20th centuries. In 1872, 9 small Indian mongooses traveled from India to Jamaica. Trinidad tried the same in 1870, but it failed. However, starting around 1870, mongooses were introduced throughout the Greater Antilles. Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Santa Cruz, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. When Jamaican mongooses reproduced, they were sent to other plantations, including Hawaii. Mongooses spread across islands very actively. Imagine people decided to continue this practice, sending mongooses to U.S. cities. What would happen? Like with cats, initial effects seemed stunning. That's exactly what happened in Jamaica in 1872. Mongooses multiplied quickly on sugar plantations. Within months, rat populations noticeably declined. People were thrilled. Witnesses wrote that just 6 months later, clear and undeniable proof showed rats had become far less destructive than ever thought. It looked like absolute victory, but not for long. By 1888, mongoose impacts had faded. Initially, rat numbers dropped, but they soon recovered. Rats figured out how to dodge mongooses, becoming nocturnal when their would-be hunters slept. Moreover, as mongoose populations grew and rat numbers declined, mongoose dietary preferences shifted. Eventually, mongooses abandoned hunting rats because it was too complicated. They pursued simpler prey, local wildlife. The same would happen in U.S. cities. Mongoose impacts would wear off quickly. Rats would return. Mongooses, like cats, would leave cities seeking easier prey. And a mongoose is a wild animal that doesn't belong on busy New York streets. Even if mongooses somehow settled, history shows they cause more harm than good everywhere they're introduced. Mongooses feed not only on rodents but also on reptiles, frogs, birds, invertebrates, and eggs. In Fiji alone, mongooses made several species vanish or decline drastically. The bar-winged rail became completely extinct. The Pacific black duck, buff-banded rail, western swamp hen, and shy-ground dove all suffered. This earned mongooses placement among the 100 most dangerous invasive species. According to the IUCN, the small Indian mongoose is officially recognized as causing ground-nesting bird extinctions. They're blamed for the disappearance of 8 Hawaiian bird species listed as federally endangered, including the Hawaiian crow, petrel, and Hawaiian goose. In 1999, mongooses caused an estimated $50 million in annual damage in Hawaii and Puerto Rico. That amount has likely increased substantially since then. The same story repeated in most places mongooses were introduced, even when the goal was fighting snakes. In Japan and on Adriatic Islands, mongooses successfully eliminated snakes. When snakes became scarce, mongooses turned to local and migratory birds, and domestic birds too. Expecting anything different from mongooses in the US would be naive. Bringing in another animal for help is fundamentally a bad idea. 2 main approaches exist for eliminating rat populations. The first is cutting off rats' access to food, which in cities means keeping them away from garbage. Ecologists call this a bottom-up approach because it cuts off the base of the food chain. The second approach is top-down. Bring in a predator to eliminate rats. But here's the problem. Dr. Parsons, a biologist at Fordham University, stated clearly that predation, whether by cats or other animals, won't reduce rat populations. That can only be achieved by cleaning up trash. So only one way remains. Is it possible in a city like New York? That's debatable. New York generates massive amounts of waste. Changing human behavior around garbage disposal would require unprecedented coordination and compliance. Infrastructure changes would cost billions. Enforcement would need to be consistent and comprehensive. But the science is clear. Predators won't solve the problem. History has proven this repeatedly. Every attempt to introduce predators for rat control has either failed outright or succeeded temporarily before causing worse ecological problems. The rats always adapt. The predators always turn to easier prey. The ecosystem always suffers. The real solution isn't dramatic or exciting. It doesn't involve airdropping cats or releasing mongooses. It involves the mundane work of proper waste management, infrastructure maintenance, and public education. It requires sustained commitment over years, not quick fixes. It demands investment in sanitation rather than predators. New York's rat problem won't be solved by bringing in another species. It will be solved, if at all, by removing the resources that allow rats to thrive in the first place. That means better garbage containers, more frequent collection, stricter building codes, consistent enforcement of sanitation regulations, public cooperation in reducing food waste and properly disposing of trash. The lesson from Australia's cats, Fiji's mongooses, and every other failed predator introduction is simple. Ecological problems rarely have ecological solutions that don't create new problems. The rats are winning not because they lack natural predators, but because we provide them with everything they need to survive and multiply. Until we address that fundamental reality, the rats will continue to win. No matter how many cats or mongooses we release,